Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Today I'll be presenting W.E.B. Du Bois. W.E.B. Du Bois wrote of the post-Civil War era. The slave but free stood for a brief moment in the sun, then moved back again toward slavery. In the years following 1877, black farmers were driven off their land. Black workers were paid unfair wages. Black politicians were thrown out of office, and black voters were buried or barred from the ballot box, all under the threat of reality of violence at the hands of the Ku Klux Klan and other white terror groups. It was not slavery, but by the turn of the century, the former plantocracy had erected a new framework for the economic and political subjugation of African Americans. White Southerners call it redemption, but for African Americans, the post-Reconstruction period will become known as the Reign of Terror. In the 1980s, lynch mobs claimed their lives of more African Americans than any other time in African American history. In the late 1870s, Henry Adams of Louisiana concluded that African Americans had to leave the South to survive, even if it meant they had to desert the U.S. In a petition to President Rutherford B. Hayes, Adams asked that the besieged black population be given federal protection. If that protection cannot be given and our constitutional rights cannot be restored, we would respectfully ask that some territory be assigned to us in which we can colonize our own race. And if that cannot be done, to appropriate means so that we can colonize in Libya or some other country fully filled, and not that unless full and ample protection is guaranteed to us, we cannot live in the South. And we will and must colonize under some other government, and will put our full trust in God that our prayers and petitions will be speedily answered.
All right.
The federal government, which had already turned a deaf ear to black concerns, ignored the petition and allowed harassment and intimidation of the Southern African Americans to continue. But Adams and tens of thousands of others took action. They left. In Southern black communities, pamphlets and posters were printed. Meetings and debates were held, and plans were drawn up. By the spring of 1879, the banks of Mississippi heaved with hundreds of black families and all of their possessions, clamoring to board steamships that would take them north to St. Louis, where they would make their way to Kansas, the Negro Canaan. Altogether, nearly 15,000 African Americans fled the South for Kansas in 1879 and 1880. Thousands more sought refuge, land, and freedom in Nebraska and other Western territories. They defied the Southern landowners who, bemoaning the laws of their labor, tried to prevent their departure. The movement wedged criticism from Frederick Douglass, who argued that blacks should stand their ground in the South. But the exodusters persevered, and those who headed west made their own way. Although they continued to face economic hardship, they enjoyed greater autonomy. About 3/4 came to own homes. Their children were more likely than not to attend school. Girls at a higher rate than boys, and illiteracy among the westward migrants was less than 10%.
Whether they stayed in the South or migrated north or west, with the withdrawal of federal support, African Americans found themselves increasingly alone when it came to developing institutions to address the legacy of slavery. African Americans almost completely withdrew from white-controlled religious organizations to form independent churches. At that same time, there was a flowering of black fraternity, benevolent and mutual benefit societies. They drew on the support of Northern philanthropy, philan-
It's all right.
philanthropies, and a measure of state financing. But black schools were established, teachers trained, and schoolhouses built are new with the sweat of black brows. An unprecedented number of African Americans were educated at the primary level in the institutions of higher learning. And while only a fraction of the black population could read at the close of the Civil War, by the turn of the 20th century, illiteracy among African Americans was all but eliminated. African American women, such as Mary Church Terrell, were key leaders in the struggle for education. In the political arena, by far the most significant event of the post-Reconstruction period was the emergence of Booker T. Washington and a new generation of black leadership. Washington founded Tuskegee Institute in Alabama in 1881 with a program of both academic and vocational training. Under his leadership, Tuskegee became a national model for black self-improvement through industry and manual labor. And Washington himself became a prominent, if ultimately controversial spokesperson. Rather than destabilize race relations by pressing demands for social and political equality, Washington argued African Americans should strive for economic stability with tolerating social subordination. In a major speech at the 1895 Cotton Expedition in Atlanta, Georgia, Washington outlined his program for black progress. In all things that are purely social, he said, we can be as separate as the fingers, yet one as the hand, in all things essential to mutual progress. His program of accommodation to racial subordination would soon be subject to withering criticism from more racial African American leaders, including W.E.B. Du Bois and Ida B. Wells Burnett. But in the years before the turn of the 20th century, Booker T. Washington was by far the most prominent and influential black leader in the United States.
Washington's stance could not have come at a more critical time. In 1890, the post-Reconstruction governor of Louisiana signed a law segregating the state's railways. The law mandated that trains provide equal but separate cars for blacks and whites, and prohibited individuals of different races from riding together or face $25 fine or 20 days in jail. The new law stirred opposition among African Americans in New Orleans, but when a columnist for a black-owned newspaper suggested a boycott, Washington preached patience and accommodation. Washington's influence and black fears of violent reprisals stifled the protest.
Two years later, a 30-year-old black shoemaker, Homer Pelsi, refused to leave his seat on a New Orleans train. His actions would start a series of legal cases ending in 1896, the U.S. Supreme Court decision legalizing the segregation. According to the majority opinion, the object of the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which abolished slavery, could not have been intended to abolish distinctions based upon color. And that laws requiring the separation of races do not imply the inferiority of either race to the other. In a single stroke, the Supreme Court legitimized the notion that schools and public accommodations could be required to be separate but equal. Justice John Marshall Harlan, a Southerner, cast one vote in support of Homer Pelsi and wrote a long but powerful dissent. Legal segregation, Harlan wrote, allowed the seeds of race hate to be planted under the sanctions of law. And the thing disguised as equal accommodations will not mislead anyone, nor atone for the wrong they done. This legal segregation, sanctioned by Plessy versus Ferguson, will stand until a series of cases beginning with Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954, more than 60 years later.
What is love? If I had the gift of being able to speak in other languages without learning them and to speak in every language, there is in all of heaven and earth, but didn't love others, I will only be making noise. If I had the gift of prophecy and knew all about what is going to happen in the future, knew everything about everything, but didn't love others, what good would it do? Even if I had the gift of faith, so that I could speak to a mountain and make it move, I would still be worth nothing at all without love. If I gave everything, if I had to poor people, and if I were burned alive for preaching the gospel, but didn't love others, it would be of no value whatsoever. Love is very patient and kind, never jealous or envious, never boastful or proud, never haughty or selfish or rude. Love does not demand its own way. It is not irritable or touchy. It does not hold grudges and will hardly ever notice when others do it wrong. It is never glad about injustice, but rejoices whenever truth wins out. If you love someone, you will be loyal to him no matter what the cost. You will always believe in him, always expect the best of him, and always stand your ground in defending him. All the special gifts and powers from God will someday come to an end, but love goes on forever. Someday, prophecy and speaking in unknown languages and special knowledge, these gifts will disappear. Now we know so little, even with our own special gifts, and the preaching of those most gifted is still so poor. But when we have been made perfect and complete, then the need for these inadequate special gifts will come to an end, and they will disappear. It's like this. When I was a child, I spoke and thought and reasoned as a child does. But when I became a man, my thoughts grew far beyond those of my childhood. And now I have put away childish things. In the same way, we can see and understand only a little about God now, as if we were peering at his reflection in a mirror. But someday, we are going to see him in his completeness, face to face. Now all I know is hazy and blurred, but then I will see everything clearly, just as clearly as God sees into my heart right now. There are three things that remain: faith, hope, and love. And the greatest of these is love.
Amen.
So we did a project on Joseph Olong, Secretary St. George.
Use the mic.
We did a project on Joseph Olong, Secretary de St. George. And before there was he was a musician.
Hold the mic.
Voices.
Hold the mic.
He was born December 25th, Christmas Day, 1745, to a slave mother named Canal and a slave master, Philip Pierre Tavernier.
plantation owner and a French naval. Joseph first learned music from the slaves on the sugar plantation. When he was 9, he and his mother and father moved to France to study and excel in violin, fencing, riding, ballet, hunting, ice skating, and swimming.
He wrote 14 concertos, 9 symphonies, 18 string quartets, and 6 operas. He played with Mozart and inspired Mozart to write Symphonia Cardentia and E flat major for Manuel Viola. He played for Queen Marie Antoinette and King Louis XVI with 16 and become the Queen's personal music instructor.
We're not done. We're not done. Oh, okay. We're not done.
We're not done.
Hold it up.
Joseph was appointed colonel of Regiment of Black Soldiers, referred to as Le Lion Saint George in French Revolutionary in 1789, with the mission of fighting to ensure liberty, freedom, and justice. Though Joseph was falsely accused of misusing public funds, a war crime, he was imprisoned for 18 months, narrowly escaped the guillotine, and was pardoned. He spent his later years fighting to abolish slavery in the colonies. He died June 10th, 1799 in Paris, France. In 2001, the Paris City Council dedicated a street, Rue du Chevalier de Saint George, in his honor. And the music playing in the background, this is some of his music that he made. So,